Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2013, it's a Jeep Wrangler. We're going to be replacing the rear brakes and rotors. And the reason we're going to be changing them is because the right rear is grinding, destroyed the rotor, so we are going to change both left and right, of course. This brake job is no different than any other. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to remove the caliper, remove the mounting bracket, remove the rotor, and then reassemble. Sounds easy, right? All right. Let me show you what we're going to need, what kind of tools we're going to need, and then we're going to get started and we'll get this job wrapped up and out the door. All right, so first thing you're going to see over here is you're going to need to have a couple of tools. They're basic, just hand tools. You'll need a set of sockets, ratchets, fairly long. Hey, how you doing? Here's an example of what kind of tools you're going to be needing to do it. You're going to need a set of sockets. As you can see, I already have the 18 and the 13 millimeter off already because I did take the other side apart, which is right here. You're going to need the sockets, of course. You're going to need the ratchet. The longer the handle, the better, because you're going to need leverage to break these bolts loose. You're going to need a hammer. You're going to need a couple of wrenches. I always use a thin socket, a thin wrench to get in the back, a little pry bar, and also a pair of cutting pliers to remove the clips on here, as well as some grease. All right, so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to come in here, and like I said, this brake job is no different than any other. You see these clips on here? You're probably wondering what you do with these clips. You don't really need to put these back on. You break these off and you throw them away. You don't need them. As you can see, there's a lot of oxidation around here. You will need to clean off all of this oxidation on here because it's going to restrict the rotor when it comes off. So we need to clean that off. We're going to push this piston here back into the bore as far as it can go with our pry bar. We're going to take this 13 millimeter out here and here to remove this caliper over to the side, and then we're going to remove this bolt right here, and there's also another bolt down underneath the bottom right here. We're going to take that off also. So, all right, let me get you set up, get some tools, and let's get started. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is these clips on here, you just grab them with a pair of pliers like this. You grab the end of it, and you push them, and you take these right off. You don't need to use these over, you throw them in the trash. They put them on to keep the rotors from coming off the vehicle while it's in production, I assume anyway. Okay, so we'll take all of these clips off, and you just use leverage to get it off because sometimes they're a little bit tight. Right. And that's it, they're garbage. Alright, next thing you're going to do is you're going to come in the back right over here with the pry bar. You hook it in there just like this through here, and you just keep pressure on it like this, and you see how it pushes that piston all the way back in? Push it as far as you can push it. Now if you don't have the pry bar, you can use a very large screwdriver. It does the exact same thing. Main thing is we want to make sure that that piston is pushed all the way back in as far as it'll go, because it's going to save us a step later on. And as you guys know, I'm all for saving a step if you can do it. All right, so now our piston is pushed back in all the way. Now, if you didn't push that piston back in all the way, you can use a tool like this. This tool here is to push that piston back in, but by me using this pry bar and pushing this piston all the way back in there as far as it can go, I don't have to use this tool, and I just save a step. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this bolt here and this bolt here. We're going to take these both off. So, right, like that. Now, when you turn this, you see this entire, this slider here is turning the entire thing. You just hold it with a wrench like that, and then you can take it off. It keeps it from rotating. Okay, same thing. All right, and once you have it loose, I'm going to move you back a little bit. Okay, and then once you have it loose, you can unscrew these, take them out all the way here, and this one, like that. We're just going to take our caliper. These, you're not going to lose them. You're going to need, you need to use these later, so put them to the side. This we're just going to lay up on top right here like this. And now we're going to remove this mounting bracket right here. Now remember I said it's an 18 millimeter. All right. A little bit tight getting past this stabilizer link, but if you have to, you can use a regular wrench too, which is probably what I'm going to wind up doing. Okay, now the top is a little bit tighter here. If you like, you can use a ratcheting wrench, or you can use a regular standard wrench, whatever works for you. Doesn't really matter. And once you loosen it loose enough, then you're going to take it out by hand anyway. Again, you probably heard me say this a million times. Don't lose that. You're going to need it. I'll tell you a story. The reason I say that all the time is because my guys were notorious for throwing stuff away. Not the bolts here, but some other stuff they would throw away, and it would cause a little bit of a problem. So I always tell you not to throw it away. Hold on to it, because you don't want to have a problem. All right. So once you get these. Sorry about that, a lot of truck traffic out there today. All right, once you get these bolts out, you can take the mounting bracket off the car, like that. You want to make sure that your slide pins, you see these pins right here? Those are called slide pins. And you see how these move back and forth? They have to move nice and freely. If they don't move freely, they stay binding, you're going to prematurely wear out the pads. So. All right, this is in good shape, so we don't have to worry about that, but you can see that these pads are dead. All right, we'll put that off to the side for now. Next thing we're going to do, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but you see all this oxidation on here? All of this got to come off. Makes it a little bit easier getting the rotor off later on. All right, now normally you'd see me get in here with a little pry bar or whatever to try to move it out of there. This is a little bit of a pain in the rear end because the other side did give me a trouble. So we're going to use our little trusty sledgehammer here and give it a couple of shots and knock it right off. All right, cover your ears. Here we go. Okay. Now, you have all this rust on the outside. You also have all this rust on the inside where the parking brake goes on too. Let me show you. See inside here? See how rusty this is in here? That's never good. So that's why we're going to change these, because this is definitely no good inside here. All right. I'm going to put you on hold for a second. My parts steward just got here with my parts. We're going to make sure that this is clean here. And we're going to have to clean this up a little bit, so we'll come right back. Okay, now that we got the face all cleaned up, we're going to take our rotor that we're going to put back on here. And I want to point this out, you have to use brake cleaner on this rotor or clean this up in here and in here, which I already did, as well as on the outside. All right, then we'll put it on the car, like this, or truck, and that's it. Let me grab that. Okay, so now we're going to take the brake pads out. As you can see, they're rusted a little bit where it fits into here, so we are going to change the hardware. But look at how badly the back of this brake pad is just rotting away here. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off these these little clips right here. These are the this is the hardware that actually rusted pretty bad too. That actually fits into the mounting bracket. We're going to take this off, and we're going to check underneath here to make sure there's not a lot of rust in this area right here. As you can see, there is a lot of rust in this area here. So this, I'm going to talk to the customer about this. We're going to try to see if maybe we can change this bracket, because this is actually pretty rusty here. So, all right, we'll see what he wants to do. All right, let's pull this other one off here. Now you can take a file, you can take a piece of sandpaper, whatever you have. You need to clean this rust out of here just to see, make sure it's clean. All right, let me just call the customer before we go any further and see what he wants to do. All right, well, after talking to the customer, he wants me to clean this out the best I can. He's not gonna replace the mounting brackets, so we're gonna clean these up a little bit here with the file on both of them, and then we'll come right back. Okay, now that we got it cleaned up in here, we're going to put a little bit of grease inside each one of these little areas here so that it's hopefully will not rust again. All right, then we're going to take our new clips that we previously had on here, and we're going to reinstall them. One more, and that's it. All right, now everywhere that the brake pad is going to go, you're going to put some grease, just like this. See? All right? And what you're going to do is you're going to take out these slide pins right here, leave them in the hole for now, and then we'll take this out, clean off any kind of grease from before, put the new grease on, and we'll put it back in, push it all the way down. Same thing here, a little bit of grease, and you put this pin back in here all the way. Make sure that that little boot right there pops up all the way up where it belongs. See how it pops in? And of course that they slide nice and freely, which they do. All right, now I want to point this out to you also. You see this brake pad? I'll show you. You see these brake pads have this indicator in different locations? Make sure you put the correct pad in the correct location. Now this one here, this person said to me they just started to hear this noise. They didn't, because you can see this piece is snapped off. That's been grinded for a while, and that broke right off. So, all right, hold that thought. Sorry about that. Okay, now, brake pad goes in here like this. Now I'm going to put this brake pad in here just to show you how it's supposed to slide nice and freely. See? That's the way it's supposed to slide, nice and free. Now the outer brake pad doesn't really matter. They're the same. And that goes in just like this. Now you could put it in here, or you could put it in the car. I like doing it here. It's a little bit easier on the bench. And that's it, just like this. That's the whole thing when it's put back together. So, all right, let's get up in the car and let's put this job back together. But first, let's change our gloves. Okay. Okay, so now after we have the rotor on, we're going to put our mounting bracket back up in here just the way it came off. Now what I always do is squeeze the brake pads together, and now you catch your bolts that you previously took out. You definitely want to catch everything by hand before you tighten anything up. Makes it a lot easier. All right. All right, now after you have them both caught by hand, then you come in here with your ratchet and you can tighten everything up nice and tight. All right. Now remember, we had a tight squeeze in there with that 18mm on top, so we're going to use a wrench to tighten it up. Okay, nice and tight. All right, now our mounting bracket is tight. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to put our rotor, our caliper back on. Every place that the brake pad is going to touch, you put a little bit of this silicone. Every place that the brake pad touches. That's the inner. Remember how the inner rusted away really bad? And then it's the outer right here. All right, a little bit of grease, and it goes a long way. Now I'm going to tell you this. See how this hose is on here? You see how this hose is all twisted? Make sure when you put this back together that you do not twist that hose like that. That's very important that you don't do that. It's got to be on straight, just like this. See how the hose is nice and straight, right? Twisted, even though it'll work, you never want to do it because as you can see, it's going to wind up touching into something, especially right up here. It's going to wind up wearing through and you're going to have a problem. So make sure your hose is not twisted before you put it back on. And now we put our caliper back over the top, push your slide pins in so that you can get your your caliper over the top. Now, if you didn't push your piston in far enough, that's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you this real quick. What you would do, now these are the new brake pads for the other side that I haven't put together yet. You put them in here like this, and like this, and you take a tool. There's lots of different tools out there. This one I kind of like because I've been using it forever. It just goes in here like this, and then you turn it, and it pushes the piston all the way back into the bore. But we don't need to do that because I saved that step before by using that tool, that pry bar, to push that piston back in. So we don't need to waste our time on that step. All right? So this goes on like this. Push your slide pins in so you can get your caliper over the top. Your hose is not twisted. You take both of your bolts, and before you tighten them up, you make sure both of them are caught. All right? And last but not least, you're going to tighten these up. Now remember, when you tighten this, or you loosened it before, you remember this turned right here? See how it's spinning? You just come in here with a wrench, put the wrench on there, and you just hold it stationary, and now you can tighten it as tight as you need to, okay? Again, the same thing down on the bottom here, like that. And we'll tighten this up. And that's it. That job's done. All right, let me recap exactly what I did so you have an idea, so you just have no errors on the brakes. All right, we put our new rotor on. We cleaned the face of the rotor with brake cleaner and a clean shop towel. We also cleaned the back side of it too. We mounted up our mounting bracket and tightened up those 18mm bolts, this one as well as this one here. We tightened them. We lubricated every place that the caliper is going to touch. The brake pads are going to touch. We put a new hardware kit in, and we lubricated where the brake pad touches. We also lubricated our slide pins so that everything slides nice and freely. And last but not least, we tightened up our 13mm here and here, and that's it. This job's done. Next thing I'm going to do is go to the other side and do the exact same procedure on the other side, which I already have apart. I just have to wrap it up. All right, so that's it. Before you drive the vehicle, you want to get inside the car, truck, step on the brake a few times so that way you can push this piston back out, so that way you have a nice firm brake pedal when you take it out to drive it. All right, so that's it. Job's all done. Just make sure you pump that brake pedal up so you in the car. Make sure you pump that pedal up so that way you have a nice firm pedal when you go to back the vehicle up. Otherwise, the first time you get in the car and you back it up, you're going to step on the pedal, it's going to go right to the floor, and you're going to crap in your pants. So, all right, that's it. You're all done. Any questions or comments, or you need any advice on anything, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.